Hi guys, welcome to your first day of lines. I am going to give you a short lesson on slope and equation of lines, and at the end I'm going to go through either exactly the same or similar questions to your homework questions. So we'll get notes and homework done together. And I don't know the answer to this question. Okay, so we're going to talk about slope and equations of lines. So slope, it's just how far up and over you're going from one point to the next. So the up would be the y2 minus y1. So you're subtracting the y's. And the over is the x's. Okay, so let's practice that. We've got rise over run. So a positive slope could be a positive number like 2/3. That means I'm going to go up 2 and to the right 3. I always tell my kids to go right 3. So like let's start at, let's say 2. A positive slope means I'm going up 2 and then I'm going to go right 3. And then I'm going to go up 2 and right 3. And I always make a few of them, but you can see if you had to read this line from left to right, this positive slope is going up. Like if you were walking up the hill, if this was you going up the hill, it's a positive slope. It's going up. A negative slope means that the way you read it, if it were negative 2/3, that means you're going down. But you are always running right. So I'm going to start from that same point. If I started at 2, if I went down 2 to the right 3, you can see the difference in the lines. The mistake is some kids run left, and if I did down and left, then I'd end up with the same as my first one. So if you always run right, you will get the slope. You will graph the slope correctly. And remember, imagine you're on this hill. This would be a downhill. You'd be running down if you ran it from left to right. Okay, so that's the change in y over the change in x. So there are two kinds of lines that we're going to be working with. Y equals mx plus b. This one's nice because it's easy to graph. You start with the y-intercept where it crosses the y, and then you graph the slope. This one's nice because it's the easiest. This one's the easiest. And if you've never used it before, it might not seem that way, but the y-intercept is only a number like a comma 0. It's a very specific point, and there's only one of them on the entire line. But x1, y1 is any point. Any point that you're given. You don't have to figure out what the y-intercept is. So the point slope can tend to be the easiest. It's what we use in calculus all the time, which might not sound like an easy course, but we use point slope because it is the easiest form of a line to use. So let's try some of these. See, here we have a y-intercept. There's only one of those points. So what we're going to do is we're going to do y equals mx plus b, where this is our slope and this is our intercept. So our slope is half, y equals half x, and the intercept is 7 plus 7. You're just plugging it in. And when we graph this, we'd start at 7 on the y-axis, and then we would go up 1, right 2. Okay, point slope. Point slope, there's part of your point. The y stays put, but the y1 is part of your point, your slope, and there's the other part of your point. So this part is x1 and this is y1. So y minus y1, minus minus makes it a plus. Your slope is negative 3/4. X minus x1 is 2. So it might seem a little clunky right now. These aren't the easiest to graph, but they are the easiest to write. And then we have parallel and perpendicular. So if they just intersect, not in a special way, there's no special relationship between the points, so that's neither. If they never intersect, if you've got railroad tracks that always have this same, we lost the slope there, have the same slope, they're considered parallel. Perpendicular, one has to be positive and one has to be negative, and they have to be reciprocals. Okay, so parallel lines might be y equals 2x plus 3 and y equals 2x minus 7. The numbers on the end don't matter. Parallel lines have the same slope. Okay, what does perpendicular look like? Let's find the pen. Y equals 1/2 x plus 7. Y equals a reciprocal, flips it, and makes it the opposite. So negative 2 over 1, x plus 6. The numbers on the end don't matter, but if I have these slopes, that's saying that this goes up 1 over 2, and this goes down 2 over 1, and it's going to create that 90-degree angle in the middle. So let's try some. Write an equation for a line parallel to this one. So I want this slope. And the way that I do the notation for this, oh my goodness, is that I'll say that M parallel is 5, 6, which in my notes to me means that I have a parallel line. And it goes through this point. This is not a y-intercept, because this this guy is not a 0. So I know it's just a point on the line. So I think the easiest would be to do point slope. So I'll write it again. Point slope is y minus y1 equals slope times x minus x1. So let's fill that in. Y minus 8, because this is x1 and y1, equals our parallel slope, 5, 6, times x minus x1. Minus gives us a plus. That's done. Write an equation with a y-intercept. Y-intercept is y equals mx plus b. So we know the b is 2. And perpendicular, so I don't care about this and I don't care about this. I just care about the slope. If slope is 4, if slope equals 4, then m perp is going to be, if that's 4 over 1, the reciprocal is 1 over 4, and I have to make it opposite, negative. So y equals slope x plus b, 2. So your Schoology quiz today consists of 12 questions. I have 12 questions that are either close or identical to your Schoology questions. So if you just work through these with me and have your Schoology quiz open, we will get your homework done together. Okay, so the first one asks, it's a similar question to this one, and it wants to know what the y-intercept is. The y-intercept, if this is y equals mx plus b, is the negative 4. But you want to write it as an ordered pair. So 0, negative 4. The next one is, what is the point? So the point of, this is point slope. We've got a 5 and a negative 2, but remember, equation is y minus y1 equals slope times x minus x1. So the minus means those were both opposite. So the point would be negative 5, negative 2. So you want to make both of those points opposite. Oops. I wrote those backwards. The x1 is the first one. Sorry. Negative 2, negative 5. Okay. Number 3, what is the slope? Mx plus b. It would be half. And I don't think you have to write m. I think you just write 1 divided by 2. For the next one, it wants to know point slope. What's the slope? The slope is 1/4. For number 5, it wants the perpendicular slope. So this slope is negative 1. If I were to take negative 1 over 1 and do the reciprocal, it would be 1 over negative 1, and then I have to do the opposite. So it would just be 1. Parallel slope is the same slope, which would be negative 4. In 5 and 6 on your Schoology quiz, those are reversed. The first one wants a parallel, and the second one wants perpendicular. Number 7, it wants an equation. I have a y-intercept and a slope, so I'm going to do slope-intercept. Y equals 2 times x plus 4. Slope-intercept. The second one is point slope. This is x1 and this is y1. So it would be y minus y1 equals slope times x minus x1. Number 9 wants the slope equation. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So that slope is 5 minus a negative 3 over negative 6 minus 7. That would be 8 over 13. Now, if this were a Schoology question, you can't put the negative in the denominator. You could if this were a regular test, but you got to put the negative up top in Schoology. Number 10 wants an equation. So this 10, 11, and 12, these are all our 3's. So first you have to find the slope, which would be 4 minus 5 over negative 3 minus 2, which would be negative 1 over negative 5, which is 1/5. So there's our slope. And then you just have to pick a point. I'm going to pick 2, 5. It doesn't matter which one you pick. In Schoology, both of them will be right, but I'm going to pick 2, 5 so that we have y minus 5 equals 1/5 times x minus 2. It said you could write any equation you want to. I always would pick Pointslope because it's so fast. Number 11 wants a parallel equation. So all I care about is the slope. M parallel would equal 2. So my equation is going to be y minus 2 equals 2 times x minus 1. My perpendicular equation, my slope is 1/2. So perpendicular would be negative 2. And then I'm going to do, I have 0, 1, so I'll do y equals negative 2x plus 1, because that's a y-intercept. And that should cover it for your Schoology quiz. I will see you guys on Monday.